Robots Radio presents
Fresh Tomatoes, the movie podcast.
Hey, I can look at myself naked.
Are you stoned or something?
They tried stoning me, my dear. It did not work.
He likes to create his own sauce.
Well, did you sleep with a man who also slept with Mom and Grandma Catherine?
What? You slept with Dad?
Alright, which one of you sardines called this meat?
Whatever, Major Loser.
Let the party begin!
Hello, and welcome to Fresh Tomatoes, the movie podcast. The handsome, unassuming man who it also turns out is the best person in the world. That's Chad Ekowitz.
And that's Simone LaRue. I mean, what an intro.
I think Keanu Reeves week deserves no less.
Absolutely. He is the most exceptional human being ever. I mean, we could probably go on for ages, but I think the most important fact about him is the fact that you share a birthday with him.
I share a birthday with Keanu, and I've never been more thrilled.
I mean, two of the best people on the planet. It must seem like, that specific day birthed the most incredible people on the planet, without question.
It, you.
I love it when you do specific intros like that, and then because the way it's phrased is that it almost sounds like you're talking about me. So it's always like, the podcast is who is like incredibly handsome. That's Chad Ekowitz. And I'm like, that's really nice. But then if our listeners go back and listen to the David Alt episode for Spooktober, you say something along the lines of that annoying person, that annoying podcast, blah, 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 blah. That's Chad Ekowitz. And it sounds like I'm really annoying.
Oh,
and I was like,
I don't mean to do that. You know that.
I know that. It's just the way it's phrased, and it always makes me laugh. I absolutely adore it.
We might need to reassure our listeners, because last week they would have heard our Halloween special with the wonderful Chat of Fallout Lorecast. And guys, if you haven't listened to it yet, do yourselves a favor. God. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I mean,
but you sort of wrote the script so that we were a little bit like not actually really good friends. Like I'm really bitchy and you're really oblivious and kind of a dick. And it was really fun to play. But I feel like we maybe need to reassure our listeners we really are friends.
Yes, we are really close.
and if anything, we're too nice to each other. Yeah,
it's true. Like I cannot think of a single time where we've ever actually been bitchy to each other, or like there's been an actual problem like in our friendship. Like it's never happened. I mean, there was that one time, like it was so not a thing. It was so uneventful. Like when Fortune Flint was still a thing, and you like were helping me, and I was like every day I was messaging you about Fortune Flint stuff, and it got to a point where like I messaged you and I was like, you know what, we've only spoken about business for like the last 3 weeks. How are you? And I asked you how you were, and you were like, I'm so glad you said something, because I was just like, I literally thought and rolled your eyes, and you're like, what the fuck does Chad want now? That's the closest I think we've ever come to actually fighting.
Yeah. And I think that's why also like when we went into this podcast, we were like, if it stops being fun, we'll stop doing it.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, I don't know about you, but it definitely hasn't stopped being fun.
I'm still having a whale of a time.
If anything, it's become even more fun.
So much fun every week.
It's
especially, so I can't believe we actually haven't done a Keanu Reeves week before, because he's very on brand for us.
He really is. He's like, guys, if you don't know about the most magical life that is Keanu Reeves, like he
universally
is
beloved.
He is a mentor, like to all of us. Dude doesn't take like private cars or anything. He always rides the subway. Dude basically gave all of his cash away for the Matrix films to the Grips and other Teamsters and things. Dude is a saint without question.
Love him. And if anyone knows Keanu, we'd love to have him on the podcast.
He's so kind. He probably would, just because he's just like the nicest human.
Sob the whole time. You and me both.
It would be our most beautiful episode, because we would just be quiet and just like listening to his sultry tones, because he's just so perfect. He's just so
Do you want to tell the people what movies we're doing today?
Yes, absolutely. Before we just make this a gushing episode about Keanu Reeves. So I will be covering Constantine, the comic book adapted film, and Simone will be doing The Day the Earth Stood Still from 2008, which Jaden Smith is in, everyone. So it's Jaden.
It's a movie.
So to decide the order in which we're going, what are you drinking today?
I'll actually open it on camera or on mic for our listeners. I'm
Cracking
having
a
a
cold
lovely Castle Light.
Lovely. Oh, what a good beer. It's got all the alcohol you need and none of the calories.
None of the calories. Got to get my summer bod going, and it's not like I've been eating carbs and cheese all afternoon, so this will make up for it.
Your buddy's just like, Simone, you dumb bitch. What are you doing to us?
I'm going to go to gym hard this week. I'm going to eat salads for lunch.
I mean, dude, you've always had like an amazing figure, so you know I don't think you act the fool, but you're actually like you're on top of your shit. You gym, you run, you treat your body right.
That's the thing. Like during the week, it's like salads for lunch and like veggies for dinner, and then on the weekends I go hard. So
life is about balance.
All about that balance.
Yeah. So there you go. But it's always annoyed me that saying like, oh, I treat my body like a temple. If you look at what like the ancient peoples did with temples and things and with their gods, like they would give them like fat and meats and things like that. Like it wasn't just like fruits and veg. That's not a thing. And like with egg whites for low.
Oh, like, God. Honestly, I'm going to say it now. And I don't care if it's controversial. Fuck egg whites. If you can't have an omelet with some yolks, like, come on.
What's the point? What's the point?
What's the point? It's sad.
Who wakes up in the morning and goes, you know what I want? A gelatinous flat pancake that tastes like nothing.
With no flavor.
Yeah.
No.
Obviously, if you're trying to watch your cholesterol or other health related issues, like nothing against you. I'm just saying, like, if it is a health thing, like, just eat the yolks.
Eat the yolks. It's exactly.
One of my favorite quotes of all time actually is by the great late Anthony Bourdain, where he says, "Your body isn't a temple; it's a roller coaster."
I like that.
And it's just he just talks about like when you're in other countries, just try stuff. Like, who cares if you get the shits for a couple days? Like, this is the one time you're ever going to be able to try it. Just your body's a roller coaster. Enjoy the ride. And absolutely. I kind of love that.
That's a really good saying. I like that. I like how we've rounded that off with a really beautiful quote there. Nicely done.
From one of my favorite people of all time.
There you go. There you go. Although I do love one of my favorite quotes of all time that you've just said, and this comes directly from you, is "fuck egg whites." And I think I might just get that tattooed on my neck.
That's our new merch.
Yeah.
Just a shirt of like a bright yellow circle.
Yeah. And like in really like old school like word art thing.
Old English.
Fuck you egg whites. Okay, so you're drinking that. I am drinking a Diet Coke because also my body is a temple, and I'm drinking that with fire whiskey, the Jack Daniel's Tennessee.
Because your body's also a roller coaster.
Exactly. And like Bryan Adams said, you just got to ride it. So there you go.
We're just quoting all the greats today.
Exactly. This is the episode about one of the greatest people of all time. So you've got to quote the other greats. They're in a society together.
Totally.
So should we talk about Constantine?
You know what? I actually don't want to talk about Constantine first because I have so much gushing to do. Like, let's get The Day the Earth Stood Still out of the way while I'm still relatively sober. Fair. And then we can just jump into gushing about Constantine and how hot Keanu Reeves is as John Constantine.
That boy. Okay, no, we're starting now. We can't do that. I mean, the one listener who cares about our sort of schedule and how we do things and the order is already like, but they go with the alcohol. That's how the rules are. And they're fucking with the rules again. So maybe let's break a little bit from tradition and fuck the egg whites. So tell us about The Day the Earth Stood Still. The most.
Fuck the egg whites is actually a great philosophy for this podcast now. The Day the Earth Stood Still is very much the egg whites. It's the stuff we need to get through before we get to the good bit.
That's fair.
Runny, soft poach yolk that is just
that just bleeds open.
Bleed out over the rest of your eggs, Benny.
Ooh, I like it. A little bit of brunch terminology. I like it.
Everyone loves a good eggs Benny. Okay.
Did you write?
Now, no, I didn't.
mean,
to my detriment.
To be fair, not much happens. Let's be honest.
Not a lot goes on. Did my camera turn off?
It did.
Okay. Let's see what's happening there. That's a fun little game my camera and I play together.
Is it sort of like peekaboo, but with inanimate objects?
Okay. I'm going to edit this a lot in post.
This is what happens when we miss a week. It's just all the mania.
A lot of chaos energy.
Yeah.
Helen Benson, played by Jennifer Connelly, is Hollywood's favorite profession, a xenobiologist at Princeton University. One night while she's hanging out with her stepson, Jacob, played by Jaden Smith, she gets a call saying that they are going to pick her up. It turns out that they are the U.S. government. The U.S. government has seen an object hurtling towards the Earth, and they predict an imminent collision. She and a team of other scientists from various disciplines are all recruited to try and think of a plan to stop this from happening. They are unable to in the time allotted, and just as they brace for impact, they realize the object has slowed down. The object is, in fact, a spaceship for another being. Out walks an alien, and just as Helen is about to shake his hand, obviously, the U.S. military does what it does best and shoots a friendly.
Oh,
political.
Wow. Political, but true.
They manage to cease fire and they bring the alien back to the lab where they try to help it survive. While operating on the alien, the surgeon finds that its skin sort of sloughs off until it reveals a human shape underneath. After a couple of hours in an incubator, this human shape starts talking to the humans and reveals itself to be Klaatu, played by Keanu Reeves. It is an alien being sent from a conglomerate of other alien civilizations to talk to the leaders of Earth. He interacts with Helen, as well as Dr. Michael Granier, played by John Hamm, and Regina Jackson, who's the U.S. Secretary of Defense, played by the amazing Kathy Bates.
Oh, so
Regina Jackson tells the alien that there's no way she's going to take him to all the leaders of the UN. She's the best he's going to get, and he might as well give her his message to her. Klaatu is like, absolutely not. I want to talk to all the Earth leaders. And she's like, cool. Again, the American solution. We're going to take you off and torture and interrogate you till we find out what you want. Helen Benson, as a scientist, not super impressed with this. So she helps Klaatu escape. And the rest of the movie is essentially them on the run. Klaatu reveals that he actually is there to destroy the human race because of how they're destroying the planet. And through various shenanigans, herself, her son Jacob, a famous doctor, Professor Barnard, played by John Cleese, and a bunch of other people are essentially trying to convince Klaatu that humanity deserves a second chance and they can turn it around and change. Throughout all this, the spaceship that Klaatu arrived in is wreaking havoc on humanity, slowly starting the apocalypse. Eventually, Klaatu, seeing how much Helen loves her stepson, decides that humanity does deserve a second chance. He rescues humanity, disappears on the spaceship, but not before disabling all of the technology humanity has on planet Earth, and humanity has a chance to start anew. The end.
Beautifully done. Excellent work. What is your cliffhanger for this one?
God. Is there... You know what? I'm going to do this one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the one where Kathy Bates is like, yeah, I'm, when he's like, oh, do you speak for all of the people on Earth? And she's like, I speak for the US president, and implies that that's basically the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's accurate. It's how the Americans feel about things. So she's not wrong. It's drawing from real life, which is pretty on point if you're honest.
Yeah. This movie is so, is it 2005, 2008?
2008.
Oh yeah. This movie is brimming with optimism that 2008 gave us. Obama had become president. They were like, of course,
Yeah.
the US speaks for the rest of the world. Look at this magnificent young man with his beautiful smile. Of course, humanity can turn it around. We're going to sign the Paris Accords. We're going to maybe sign a Green New Deal, and we're going to get on track. And now in the
Nope.
year 2020, I'm not sure that if an alien came to Earth in 2020, that people would be like, we can turn it around. We can do better. I feel like if he talked to a single millennial or Gen Z, they'd be like, yeah, no, burn it down.
Take it out. Like, we're done.
It's fine.
We can't be doing this. Yeah. You're 100%
We can't be
right.
trusted.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to be seeing another alien coming to Earth hope kind of movie for the next decade. It just can't happen.
How could you justify it?
You wouldn't be able to justify it. Like, there is no, like, yes, there are beautiful things in the world, and we are seeing a lot of beautiful things and people coming together in times of struggle, especially right now, and like the Black Lives community coming together and all of that stuff is beautiful. But it's not enough when there are awful fucking dictators everywhere. I mean,
when we have scientists begging us, literally begging us to do something, when we have reduced Sir David Attenborough to tears over the state of the environment, because there have been solutions, there have been things we can do to reduce our impact on the environment, and we have done fucking none of them.
Nothing. Unbelievable. It's, yeah. So I think you were 100% right. It's I would love for the directors to comment on this movie and just like go back and watch it and just be like, oh no, we were so wrong. Oh,
we can't turn it around.
we a bunch of dumb bitches. Hope? No, obviously not.
Yeah.
Duh. These people just, but we deserve it. Like, we deserve to perish. Let's be honest. I think we've met our sell-by date, and it's time. It's time. We had a good run, guys.
We've proven we can turn it around, but we won't.
Yeah. So I think we're tickets. So, but you know what? You've got Keanu Reeves in this movie, and he is a glimmer of hope. I think he was the perfect actor for this, because he is such a minimalist actor in just like, never smiles, never shows emotion. So this is kind of perfect for him. This is just the movie to be.
He's really good at those like really subtle bits of emotion, like when he's watching Helen with her stepson, and you know, they're hugging and having like a cry over the dad's grave and stuff. And I mean, I know the whole implication is like, oh, it's her stepson, like she shouldn't even care about him because he's not like biologically hers, blah blah blah. But like, Jaden Smith's a fucking cute kid. he's really sweet.
Kid,
and also, like, what kind of monster would you be if you didn't hug a crying child on his father's grave?
Yeah, it did feel, that whole scene felt really, really forced to try and get Klaatu to be cool with humanity, even though like the whole time she, the female lead, was like really trying to love Jaden Smith. Like, there was no point where she was just like, fucking kid, and like trying to like beat him up or anything. Like, the whole time she was just lovely to him and he was the asshole. So like, it felt really, really forced that was the bit where it was like, oh, cool.
But I thought Keanu Reeves' acting when he's watching that scene was very good. It was very subtle, and you can see like an actual little change of heart in his beautiful eyes.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, he I mean, he obviously carries this movie. But then again, there are also some really incredible actors. I mean, my favorite, John Hamm's in this, Kathy Bates. You've got, I mean, look,
Jennifer Cleese is incredible. She's a great actress.
Exactly. So what do you think went wrong with this one?
I think this movie really focuses strongly on like the moral implications of, does humanity deserve to survive? And it's so focused on this teeny tiny little story of the scientist woman trying to help this alien figure that out. But ultimately, this is an alien invasion. These things have touched down in multiple cities. There's an apocalypse rising in all of these cities, but we're still focusing on this tiny little tableau of this alien and this woman and this child. And you're like, is this the most interesting story?
Right?
I want to see
Right?
Kathy Bates's, like when she has that change of heart and she's like, oh, the only way we're going to do this is by convincing the alien that we can change. And like maybe he really believes humanity can change. Like the other scientists that were recruited to the site at the beginning, like what are they doing to try and figure this out? Maybe they're like, hey, what if we worked on some sustainable solutions now so we can show it to the alien and prove that we can change? Like, I don't know. It was just like,
Yeah.
it was one of those times where I think the movie doesn't focus on the most interesting part of the story.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. You're 100% right. And I completely agree with you in terms of like the fact that like you said in the beginning there, like with the different spheres touching on like all around the world, it would have been really cool to see like different stories if like you've got a developing nation or a colonized nation having like Klaatu land there, and it's just like, oh, how are you guys dealing with this? Like, even though we're trying, like we still have long to go, and we're going to be the future of things as we develop. So this is the true humanity, not just the one scientist.
No, totally. I think, you know, as negative as I was at the beginning of this review, I think there are a lot of things to fall in love with about humanity. And to be honest, a lot of those things are to be seen in the developing world where people don't have access to a lot of resources and technology, and they just figure out these ways of solving problems in the most efficient and beneficial way. There's that amazing TED Talk. God, it must be ancient by now. But this guy in Kenya, his village kept getting attacked by lions.
Oh, wow.
And they kept having to kill the lions, and obviously like it was horrible, like no one wanted to do it, but like what are you gonna do?
Yeah, you kind of have to.
And he realized that the lions stayed away if someone was patrolling because they thought that a flashlight meant that a human was out. So he literally just invented a machine that intermittently would have a flashlight flashing back and forth and looking like a human was patrolling. And that stopped lion attacks, so they didn't have to kill lions anymore.
That's amazing.
And I think
so
like
cool.
there are so many stories like that to be found in the developing world. And I feel like if I were an alien coming from outer space, wanting to destroy humanity, like those are the stories that would sway me. Like seeing the ingenuity that humans with nothing use to help beings that they don't necessarily need to be helping. I don't think it's going to be like a wealthy Harvard professor loving the last connection she has to her husband.
Yeah, it does feel, you know, really far-fetched. I mean, if not to put a scale on like human emotion and affection, but hugging like you said right in the beginning, hugging a crying child in front of his father's grave is very much the bare minimum of humanity. Like there are maybe 6 people on the planet who wouldn't hug the child. So yeah, it just felt really like inconsequential. And it also like it really came out of left field because you've got like 80% of the movie done by that point, and then suddenly it's just like, oh, this one very small inconsequential act has now changed my mind, even though we've had like a good 60 odd minutes of me running around speaking to wonderful people and learning things. But that didn't change my mind. This did. This is the thing. And now the movie's over. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And what did you enjoy about it?
I really liked the bit at the very beginning where they all think that it's like going to be an asteroid impact on the Earth. And it's all these scientists sitting together, and they've like kind of made friends in the traumatic hours before this impact is happening. And they're like all kind of holding hands and praying their different prayers as like this impact comes. And I thought that was really beautiful, actually. And all these people bonded, and it was really nice, and they were ready to work together as a team. And then they never talked to each other again through the rest of the movie.
Yeah, you know, you only bring the scientists together to split them apart again. That's how it works. You never keep that much clever people in one place. It would be nonsensical. I mean, they might come up with solutions to things. I mean, what kind of crocodile idea would that be?
I mean, look, in this day and age, even if they did come up with solutions, no one would adopt them.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking. That really breaks my heart.
The past 10 years have really ruined us.
Yeah, I'm excited for the next 10 though. That's what we do here on this
Are
optimistic podcast. No, that is what we do. It is our mandate. If we don't
Okay.
stick to it, we're fucked, Simone. We are the
Okay.
thing that is holding humanity together. All right, you know, what's it called? The Guardians. I think that's what the name of that film is, with all the like mythical creatures coming together.
Oh yeah.
And then there's like the globe, and it shows like who's left believing. That's us. It is you and me, dog.
Okay.
Like we're the only optimistic thing left in the big shiny globe.
And all our listeners.
And all of our listeners. We appreciate the fact that you guys are staying optimistic and finding the good things in society and in humanity, though few that they are. And we are really proud of you guys. So yeah, I really love the robot in this. The fucking
it's so cool.
So badass. I want one of those because it's got tiny little fly robots that can eat diamonds. It shoots lasers from its face. It can control any tech. What a legendary little machine that is.
I also just wish that Kathy Bates was the actual US Secretary of Defense.
Oh yeah, she would be badass.
Oh yeah.
She would kick ass. Like, can you imagine the chick from Misery now being in charge of every nuke? And beautiful.
I don't know. Now that you put it like that.
Look, I enjoy that kind of idea. I think she would just be like a little bit unstable, and that's kind of what you want. Just like, oh, could she? Oh, I don't know.
No, no, I can't shake my head hard enough. I think the last thing that we need from a U.S. Secretary of Defense is religious fervor. Call me crazy.
Yeah, that is a real hot take in 2020.
Look, call me a filthy liberal, but
I just think we all live with so much anxiety in our heart that having that level of external anxiety would match.
No!
It would be like a good equilibrium from
no,
an osmosis point of view.
I want the U.S. Secretary of Defense to have the most anxiety. I want them to agonize over every single decision they make. I want them to be like me when I have a mild thing to do with my taxes going on, where I lie awake at night and want to die.
Look, taxes, I will give you, are very stressful. I think taxes, doing your taxes is probably the hardest thing on the planet. And people who do that as a job for fun are fucking psychotic, without a question. Because can you, I think I don't know about you, but for me, it's what if I got something wrong and they send me to prison?
I mean, look, don't even get that thought in my head, please.
Okay, I'm sorry. At
the moment, without going into too much detail, I saw my recent balance and the government said that it owed me a lot of money.
Nice.
And I was like, that's more money than I think you owe me. And I wish you wouldn't pay me that much because I'm scared.
I could just see a man with a check running after you and just be like, take it. And you're just like, no. I
think you need to rerun your numbers. Because if they give me that much money, I'm gonna spend it.
You've got to treat yourself. Treat yourself.
They'll immediately turn around and be like, hey, we made a terrible mistake, and then I'm in debt forever.
Okay, but treat yourself. Treat yourself. So what's your scene that could have saved it? Oh, I heard that one.
Hi, baby. Hi. Do you want to come say hello to the people in the camera, and we'll cut this out of the rest of the podcast?
Hello. Hi. Hello, cleaning baby.
Look at how handsome you are.
Look at his jowl fur. Good Lord, he's majestic.
I know. Look at how fluffy his ears are.
It's crazy.
Okay, baby.
Is that your winter coat? Are you shedding yet?
He's shedding hard. He's just fluffy all year round, though. He's just a little teddy bear. Hey, you're just a little teddy bear.
Perfect for snuggles.
Okay, my boy, this is the worst. It's always in front of the microphone, and I wish you wouldn't.
You need to start an ASMR for him on YouTube. Anyway, scene that could have saved it.
That could have saved it. This movie is essentially about making a case for humanity, right? And it's sort of an ode to all the good things about humanity and why
if you were an alien, come here to defend the planet and destroy us, what would change your mind? Obviously, we talked about this earlier, but I don't think this movie presents a very good case for that.
Nope. Completely
And
agree with
I
you.
would have liked to see a much stronger one. Much like what I mentioned, you know, what is the ingenuity happening? What are humans doing at the ground level? Obviously, this is a very 2020 opinion, but like, is there a highlight that maybe giant corporations are the real problem and day-to-day humans really just want to like live their lives and protect their families, and if they can do that in an eco-friendly way, they totally would. I guess I would have liked to see more than that. And sidebar, I love that xenobiologist is still Hollywood's favorite profession. That must be such a tiny field in real life, actually, because it's so theoretical. It must be so hard to get funding.
I would love to meet a xenobiologist and just find out what their day-to-day is like.
And I also love, it's like that bit of Hollywood scientist where Jennifer Connelly is a xenobiologist, but she can also like, she's basically a doctor. Like she can still volunteer to give injections to Keanu Reeves and stuff, when like in reality, a theoretical biologist like that would never be able to administer an injection to a human.
No, they don't have the authority, training, insurance. They cannot do that. It is spectacular how much science, how much sort of leeway scientists get in Hollywood films. It's spectacular. You could choose a field that is so left field, like study of wood, and you'll be allowed to do whatever the fuck you want, and it is just super fun. It must be great to be a Hollywood scientist.
I wish that could be my profession.
One day we'll get there.
I look great in a lab coat. And what's your scene that could have saved it?
It's so hard to say one thing that would have saved it, but I kind of really hated that it was this moment, again, going on yours as well, this moment at the father's grave, because you're therefore telling me that they've never been to the father's grave together before, and this issue has never come up before. Like, this is the first time they're hashing it out in, I think they said like he died a year ago, and you've never gone to the thing. It would have been better if they had just like, cool, the kid just hates the mum, whatever, it's fine. And then suddenly the kid's just like, oh, I'm scared. And she's there for him. And he calls her mum. And that's what changes it. Because it was made very clear. And I thought that was going to be the Chekhov's gun of it. Because he was just like, oh, Lorraine, or whatever the mum's name was. And then I was like, oh, okay. So eventually he's going to call her mum. And then that's going to be the end of it. And that'll be great. And that just didn't pay off. And it was annoying that this very unbelievable scene was the thing that changed Klaatu's mind. So yeah, just a bit more of a believable scene. And, you know, it's not what you expect from 2008, at least. You know, our plot lines have developed by that point. We're not in Lizzie McGuire's world anymore, where a good dance break can solve any problem.
I mean, I wish we could.
Could you imagine a dance break is what changed Keanu's mind?
He just sees S Club 7 live.
They were amazing. I must save this planet so that they can create a second album.
I'm trying to think of even one of their songs to sing as a little joke, and I can't.
I'm not gonna. I refuse.
Please, Chad, just their most popular one, please.
S Club, gonna show you how. Yeah, you like it flat. That's what my voice does. So would you watch this again?
No, I'm avoiding apocalypse movies like the plague.
I mean, poor choice of words, Simone.
And yeah, again, this one doesn't make a very convincing case for why we don't all deserve to die. So no, thank you.
Yeah, I'll leave it out. It's in terms of alien apocalypse movies, it's not the greatest. It doesn't do very well. But hey, I don't know. I haven't seen the original. I don't know how it stacks up against this.
True.
But you know what? Keanu's in it, and that's a win. But you know what?
Well
if
done,
you haven't
Keanu.
seen this film before, don't worry about it. Just leave it alone.
Just give it a skip.
Yeah. Skip right over it. Amazing. Well, now, Simone, should we spend 6 hours chatting about Constantine?
Yes. Okay.
So excited. So excited.
Okay.
Okay, so I did not write a synopsis for this either. However,
Don't need
I have
to.
seen this film about a million times, so I pretty much know it off by heart. It doesn't mean that my synopsis will be any good because I'm bad at synopses.
That's
So,
okay.
Keanu Reeves, played by John Constantine, played by Keanu Reeves, is this badass sort of occultist dude who, as a kid, unfortunately, could see demons and angels and all that kind of thing. This caused him to have a bit of a mental breakdown where his parents decided to see if they could fix him, and they made things worse with electroshock therapy and things, and he eventually killed himself. Fortunately for him, he didn't actually die. He was clinically dead for 2 minutes, but then came back to life. Unfortunately, because of the fact that he did commit suicide, this means that he will be going to hell. The problem with this is his job in his day-to-day life is sending demons back to hell. So as he so clearly says in the movie, could you imagine being incarcerated in a place where all of the inmates were put there by you? So now he's spending the rest of his days trying to get back into heaven. Unfortunately for him, he is then diagnosed with lung cancer because he is a constant smoker. This really shortens his time on Earth, especially now because he's definitely going to hell and has like 3 months to live. So it's yikes on bike situations. That's when he meets Angela Dodson, played by Rachel Weisz, who is this cool talking detective. Unfortunately, her sister, Isabel Dodson, also played by Rachel Weisz, is committed suicide. She was put in an insane asylum, a mental health hospital, for being able to see things, and she seemed to have killed herself. Now, Angela believes that she didn't actually kill herself. She believes that she was provoked and pushed. Also, because they're devout Catholics, Angela wants Isabel to be buried, but of course the church won't allow that because she is a suicide. She is then
Well, she just can't get a Catholic funeral service.
Oh yeah, she can't get a Catholic funeral service because she's a suicide. Angela eventually catches on to Constantine and understands that he knows a lot more about this stuff, about the craziness of the occult world, and the fact that, you know, her sister was able to see demons and things. She thinks there might be a connection, and he can help him. As the movie progresses, we learn that the demons are actually trying something pretty crazy. It turns out that the devil also had a son, just like Jesus Christ, and this guy, Mammon, wants to come back to Earth. But in order to do so, he needs the help from a divine being, and he also needs a very, very strong psychic. This was supposed to be Isabel Dodson's role, but unfortunately, she killed herself. This is when it turns out that Angela is, in fact, also used to be able to see angels and demons and things, but she denied it for long enough that the visions went away and she was allowed to not go to a mental health hospital like her sister. As the movie further progresses and we meet more of his friends, such as Chaz Kramer, played by Shia LaBeouf, who acts as Keanu Reeves' sort of handyman and everything. He tries to help him. You've got Midnight, played by Jimon Honsu, who is this sort of neutral Switzerland-like figure, who's also just super sexy. Everyone in this movie is super sexy. Yes. And they all try to help figure this out and try and get sort of everything back to rights. In the end, with the help of Gabriel, played by Tilda Swinton, Mammon is almost able to come back onto Earth to wreak havoc on the world and turn it into essentially hell on Earth. Constantine finds this out, and in the final moments, just before Mammon is able to breach through hell and come to Earth, he decides to kill himself. The reason he does this is because it is believed that Satan himself would come up to Earth to collect John Constantine's cell. That's how important he is. Turns out this is what actually happens. We meet Satan, played by Peter Stormare. He comes and speaks to, he's amazing. He's so beautiful.
He's so good.
He's so good. He comes and speaks to Constantine. Constantine tells Satan that his son is in the next room. He's trying to come through to Earth. Satan, obviously very pissed off about this, grabs Mammon, takes him back to hell, essentially turns Gabriel into a human being, and Constantine is about to go to heaven because of his ultimate sacrifice. He does essentially in those final moments, he says to Satan, you can have my soul. In exchange, I want Isabel to go to heaven because, you know, she committed suicide, so she's down in hell. He wants her to go to heaven. This is what is considered an ultimate sacrifice and would buy John Constantine's way into heaven. That's when Satan goes, nope, not today. You will prove yourself. You will go back to hell. He reaches inside Constantine, pulls out the cancerous tumors so that Constantine can live. The end.
Oh, what's your cliffhanger, Chad?
So it has to be this scene, and it's the one where Angela wants to see the demons again, and she's like, do I have to take all my clothes off? And he's like, I'm thinking, and it's just so sexy and wonderful, and oh my god,
Keanu Reeves is the only man who can make that line not creepy. If any other man had said that line where he's like, I'm thinking, and he's like staring at her, you'd be like, oh, you disgusting creep. But when Keanu Reeves does it, you're like, oh.
No, because you know he's being a gentleman about it.
Yeah.
That's the point with
He's
Keanu
fighting
Reeves.
his worst nature.
Exactly. He wants to see her naked, but he also knows that he needs to be respectful because he's an adult male who understands that women are not objects.
And
so
he's
like,
enough of a flirt to let her know.
Oh, yes. And it's perfect. And her reaction, that is probably the best piece of acting because it is so genuine. I mean, if you're facing Keanu Reeves and you're like, do you want me to take my clothes off? And he's like not saying anything, you're going to be like, oh, John.
She doesn't even do a giggle to her credit. Like,
yeah, that must have been very difficult. Oh, damn.
Yes. I mean, I suppose you can't make a cliffhanger, because if like we could do a visual cliffhanger, it would be as Constantine is ascending to heaven and he just lifts the middle finger to Satan behind him.
Yes, it's
perfect.
So good. So
that is a
good.
perfect scene.
That should be everyone's wallpapers. Just, it's so beautiful. I thought if you were going to say a visual cliffhanger, it's that bit where his shirt's open and you get to see his beautiful abs. I thought that's where you were going with this. I mean,
I'm not a complete perv.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't
also,
say no.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
You know I like a nice traumatized, emotionally unavailable man. So John Constantine is right up my alley.
I mean, he's broken with a capital B. So yeah.
And throw in some like Catholic imagery in there.
Ooh,
like now we're speaking to my childhood. I am there.
Oh yeah. It's ticking off those traumas. That's what that's doing.
Tick, tick, tick.
I love this movie so much.
Fun.
It's so good. Have you ever read any of the comics?
No, I haven't. I've watched a couple of the animated DC movies that involve Constantine. So, I mean, I've told you, I think like this is a journey that I went on this year where I discovered the character John Constantine for the first time. And I was really fucking annoyed that I'd never heard of him before because I love everything about him.
It's such a cool character. I mean, the comic book is very different from this John Constantine.
Oh, yeah.
But even so, he's such a great character. He's this British, sort of edgy, blonde man. And you know what? It's such a fun comic book. If our listeners are into comic books and into DC stuff and love the sort of Catholic deity kind of vibe, like his comic, like the Constantine comics, they're called Hellblazer. So don't look for Constantine, look for Hellblazer. And they're just superb comics.
He's also he appears I don't know how most recently it is, but he's in the Sandman. You know, Audible did that radio drama of the Sandman, and there are one or two stories where the Sandman needs John Constantine's help. John Constantine is voiced by Joel Edgerton.
Wow. Okay.
And it's wonderful.
That sounds incredible. That's so good.
Yeah.
But even like with the differences from like the comic book to the film, this Constantine, Keanu's Constantine is
the American Constantine,
awesome.
Really.
Yeah, the American Constantine is fucking awesome. He's so cool. Yeah. Like every scene in that movie is just so well thought out and beautiful. Yeah. Like, you know, when he goes and like tries to get that soldier demon out the girl, and he's like pulling on the mirror, that's cool.
Punches it in the face.
It's so fucking good, that bit. Yeah, like
Shia LaBeouf as his assistant Chaz is a delight.
And it's young Shia as well, so it's like this baby face. It's so adorable.
His little baby face.
It's so wonderful. I think what does it well as well is just like the comedic aspects of it as well that are like baked in throughout. Yeah,
totally.
And what are your thoughts generally on this film?
I mean, I think the whole last act where they're in the building and he's trying to save Rachel and he has that interaction with Gabriel, and then the guy who plays Lucifer, his performance is
Unbelievable.
Incredible, because he really embraces that like animalistic aspects of the character. Like he has like he does like a snake S, and he growls at some points, like really embodying these like prey animals, but not in a way that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
a way that's like so creepy. And then it's also, it's Lucifer, so he's like a cool guy, and he like lights a cigarette for John Constantine before he drags him to hell. And like, he fights Gabriel, and Gabriel's no longer getting God's support, and Tilda Swinton is a great like androgynous angel being.
So cool.
It's just the whole last act might be the coolest thing I've ever seen.
I think that was the problem, because I mean, when I first saw this movie, anybody who plays Satan after him is ruined. Like that role as Satan is retired, because he is the best at it. Without question. And yeah, I think the casting for this movie is exceptional. Midnight as Jimon Honsu is unbelievable. What a perfect person to play that role. Yeah, there is just like Tilda Swinton in that suit when she's in the church as well. Jesus.
I'm not usually attracted to angels or women, but I'd like Gabriel ruin my life.
I love that you said it in that order, just angels and then women. As if like your main
like angels are just like a normal thing that you see on Tinder.
They're just hitting you up all the time, and it's just like, I'm just drowning in that angel.
I'm just not into angels.
Can they just leave me alone?
And after that, then I'm like,
and then women. Yeah, women
and Tilda Swinton.
So why do you think this movie got a bad score? Like I can't understand. I can't fathom it.
I don't know, and I feel like it's got like a cult following now. Like I know at the last Comic-Con, which was a couple months ago and obviously entirely online, they actually had a panel with some of the cast of this movie talking about like the enduring reputation it has and the enduring following it has. So I wouldn't say that the movie's unsuccessful. I think it was successful in that like we love it. It's so great. I think the time it was made, which was 2006,
I think.
2005, something like that. This was around the time when really bad superhero movies were coming out, or like a lot of movies based on comic books were really bad. Like this was Daredevil and Elektra and Catwoman. So people, I think audiences didn't get it, or like most audiences weren't ready for it. Like, when you have an action hero, he's an ex-veteran who is ready to shoot things. And it's not like slender Keanu Reeves being angry and also sensitive and using a cat to go into hell, but he's not fighting anyone, he's just trying to find clues. So I think it was maybe a different idea of action movie from what people expected back then. And maybe it was like a little too different, maybe it was a little out there for the mainstream at the time.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think you're actually, I think you're 100% right. I didn't even think about it that way. Just at the time, like it coming out with all like Daredevil and things like that. But you're so right, because Keanu is not that, and especially from like a DC. Sorry, is it DC or is it Vertigo?
It's
Vertigo.
DC.
Is it DC? So yeah, from like a DC point of view, where you've got like Batman as your main guy.
Yeah.
Seeing skinny Keanu is just not going to work for you.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I think maybe because it was so choppy in terms of you've got the Spear of Destiny stuff, but that feels like it's supposed to be more
it doesn't
important.
lead in very well.
Yeah, exactly. Which is fine. I mean, it's fine, but yeah, like. Maybe that's why I didn't do well, just because of like objectively speaking, it doesn't tie in well together.
Yeah.
But individually, every single scene is beautiful
Gold.
and perfect.
Yeah.
That bit right in the beginning where the Mexican guy finds the Spear of Destiny and gets hit by that car, and the car gets
Amazing
so fucked up.
establishing scene. Yeah.
Incredible. And it just goes on from there at like height and height and height, and it's amazing. So yeah, I don't care what the critics say, to be honest. I will love this movie until my dying day. It's
this
beautiful.
movie is a hoot and a half the whole way through. It's just so much fun. It's, you know, this is like the exact type of fantasy I like too. I love urban fantasy. It's gritty in all the right ways. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It's just so fun.
Absolutely, it is. And yeah, it's just very pretty. Like everything and everyone in it is very pretty. I mean, we haven't even mentioned Balthazar, just the most stunning Englishman ever. And again, beautiful suit. So many beautiful suits in this film. Incredible. And then his, like, the makeup and things for this film, incredible as well. Like, all of it is just perfect in that respect. Also led me to one of my favorite bands of all time, Perfect Circle, which is you know that song, that first time they go into Midnight's bar, I can't remember what it's called now. And there's that song playing while he's walking through. That's Perfect Circle, and I love them. It like took me through my emo phase. It was everything I needed.
I also love that they didn't, I feel like the early 2000s was also like, you know, Interview with a Vampire was quite popular then. And that sort of leather vampire vibe was very like underworld. And what was the one we reviewed ages ago? Queen of the Damned. Like, yeah, this like leather vampire feel was very in. And they leaned into that like a tiny bit with that bar scene, but it wasn't like obscene. no,
it was very understated. And I think that's what's also cool about this movie, is just like everything felt very casual and normal. It's just like, oh yeah, there's demons running around, and there's like a weird insect demon crab thing that's just there, and it's just kind of cool. It just happens. Yeah. So any chance there's a scene that could have saved this for you? Because I mean, I'm drawing a blank. I don't know about you.
I think, like you mentioned, they could have included the Sword of Destiny a little better. That I think didn't blend as seamlessly as it could. But otherwise, I mean, maybe some more Lucifer, just because the actor was so good, and him and Keanu, like his whole relationship with John Constantine, and how they have kind of like a begrudging respect for one another. That was such a cool dynamic. I thought that was really good. You know, I loved that the movie didn't actually have John Constantine kissing what's her name?
Angela Dodson,
yeah, at any point, really. Like they there's a lot of tension there. And she wants him to kiss her, and he wants to kiss her, and then they don't.
No.
Because that's not what the movie's about. But we wanted it, and I'm glad that they actually didn't do it. Like, you're just like, oh, you flirts.
I think it's cool in that respect as well, because it doesn't leave any resolution on the table. It's not just like, oh well, at least he got the girl kind of thing. It's sort of just like, he's this very dark soul, and you need to understand that, and that's cool.
He doesn't necessarily get the girl. Like, maybe they'll go on a few dates, maybe they'll never talk again, you don't know.
Exactly. And that's cool. It's cool. Would you watch it again?
What's your scene that could have saved it?
Nothing. I love this movie so much. It's perfect in every way, and I wouldn't change a thing. Maybe not so many of his friends dying. That broke my heart. I love his friends, and they all like die, and it's just, no, they're
so
nice people.
Awful.
You know, for a person who, like, from his just natural story doesn't have a lot of friends, and you're gonna kill all of them? Fuck you.
Yeah, come on, guys. Especially Chaz.
Yeah, that was some bullshit. I don't know what or who killed him, but that is bullshit. Vicious. Yeah, that was heartbreaking. Would you watch it again?
Oh yeah, I was so excited to do it for this week, because I was like, oh, I get to watch Constantine.
Perfect week. Yeah. I would definitely watch this again. Damn, I went on holiday to Egypt, and I took this movie with me. That's how much I love this movie. I'm not even ashamed to admit that. So I would watch this again today. Not a problem.
Totally.
Fucking badass movie. Well,
this makes me just want to do a Constantine marathon and watch all the DC animated ones. And I believe they have a Constantine character in Legends of Tomorrow.
Oh, cool. Okay, interesting.
The TV series. And so this actor, I kind of looked into him a bit. So he was also, there's a 2017 live action Constantine movie starring him.
Okay.
British Constantine.
Interesting.
And then he's in Legends of Tomorrow, and he voices Constantine in the DC animated movies. The most recent one being like the Dark trilogy.
Right.
So it's the same actor for all of them. He's basically he is Constantine at this point. God, let me look up his name quick. I feel bad.
And would you, while you're looking him up, would you say, like, in comparison to Keanu's Constantine, like, what is your feeling?
It's hard to compare.
Hard.
Yeah, it's hard to compare the British and the American one. I think they both have to have very devil may care attitudes, while also having that attitude that's relevant to their respective cultures, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think British I don't give a fuck is very different from American I don't give a fuck.
Absolutely. If you had put a British person in Keanu's role in that movie with the same lines, it wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have popped. So absolutely. Yeah.
So this actor that I was talking about is Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and he does a fantastic job.
Fantastic. Awesome. Okay, I'll go check out his Constantine stuff.
Yeah. No, he's a great Constantine.
You can never have enough Constantine in your life.
No.
This has been a week. I loved this week. Thank you very much. This was actually a suggestion from a bunch of people on our Discord channel.
Yeah.
So guys, come and holler at us if you want to talk to us directly. Come hop on our Discord channel. We're really happy to chat to you. I'm useless at it. Simone is much better than I am at actually replying to people.
We have also, it's worth noting, we have had people recommend a Dwayne The Rock Johnson week, which we will definitely do. We just don't like to do actor weeks 2 in a row. So don't worry, Dwayne's coming.
Dwayne, we love him not as much as, well, you don't love him as much as Keanu, but I love him more than Keanu. That was Fragile Shark 526 and Spooky Boy 33. So thank you guys for suggesting Keanu Reeves. I didn't want to give, not shout you guys out for this. We really appreciate your patronage. And it's great to get fan suggestions. And if you guys have any other suggestions for movie weeks, themes as well, not just actors, but themes, we are so down for it. But yeah, thank you guys so much for this week. It has been the most fun ever. Simone, it has been 2 weeks since I've seen you, just because last week was our very special episode. So what is your optimistic thing for this week?
My optimistic thing for this week. I'm going to say alone time. And that's for a couple of reasons. First of all, I don't mean to disparage people who obviously through hard lockdowns and stuff have been stuck alone because they live alone. They couldn't quarantine with people and stuff. So I don't mean to disparage those people. I think, we all need someone in our lives or someone around us eventually. And obviously, like, you guys have gone through a very tough time. Obviously during hard lockdown, I quarantined with Rudy. And it was great. Like, feel very lucky that that's the person I was stuck indoors with.
Huge.
But I really value time by myself to just recharge. And I didn't get it that much when I was with my parents, which is fine. I love them so much. I was also so lucky to spend time with them. So yesterday I just had most of the day to myself.
Oh, wonderful.
It was great. It was so relaxing. It was like a whole mental reset. It was great. And so I think I'm very grateful for time alone, but also just for the fact that I have so many people who love me that like time alone is a little
rare. Yeah. Okay, that's so nice. Yeah, you do need that balance, don't you? I think people forget that even extroverted people kind of need that time to recharge your batteries. We can't even the most extroverted people don't have that energy all the time, and they do need to have alone days. And I think
have a bit of a time by yourself.
And people freak out when extroverted people are like why aren't you talking? Why do you want to be alone? Is something wrong? Which is not what you need. You don't need that attention during that time.
No.
So guys, don't check on your extroverted friends. If they need alone time, do the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Just leave them alone. They know what they're doing.
Give them that time. Yeah.
Come on.
And what's your optimistic thing?
I would say that my optimistic thing this week is struggling to come up with anything.
Oh God.
Not that I've had a bad week. I've had a lovely week. I'm just really struggling.
You're trying to isolate
one thing that really kind of pulled the week out for me. You know what? I thought about this earlier, and I it may feel like a bit of a cop out, but I promise you it's not. I'm really happy and proud of this podcast that we've created and this community that we have. And the robots and this robots radio family that we've been a part of. They are the most wonderful people. You know, the DL gaming podcast, Fallout chat of Fallout Stories, the 76 podcast. Like, these have become really good friends, and I think it's crazy to think that we are now part of a community that reaches so many people all over the world. And we know and have made friends with people who, without podcasting, we would have never met.
Yeah.
And from being inside the world of podcasting, it always makes me, I always forget how cool it is.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I mention to someone that, like, we've got a podcast and we're part of a network, people are like, oh, that's so cool. That's amazing. Like, what's your podcast about?
Yeah.
And I feel like just because it's a part of our normal lives and we do it all the time, you don't not appreciate it, but you just become sort of unaware of how cool it is. And I'm really grateful for this opportunity. I'm really glad that you came up with this idea and we get to do it, and we've grown into such a great podcast.
And we still have fun every single week. We still get to meet the coolest people and make the coolest friends. Like, you know, every time we interact with people on Robots Radio, I'm like, these people are so cool.
Yeah.
And they talk to us like we're cool.
Yeah. Little do they know, we're not. We're so lame. Yeah. I mean, and then
they invite us back to stuff. They're like, oh, we had a lot of fun, so let's do this again. And you're like, wait.
Like, with us? You had fun with us? That's insane. What?
Yeah. No, this has just been a bucket of fun the whole way through.
And I think especially Halloween and like sort of how amazing this last Halloween Spooktober has been. You know, we've made friends with David Alt. We've made friends with Miss Confess a Murder. I mean, what fucking amazing lives we are living. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to mention, you know, Ken from a Fallout lore cast,
Jameson, Brenna,
Jameson from the DL. Like, we have such cool friends.
We have really, really cool friends, and I'm so happy and I'm so proud of this podcast. Yeah, so that's my optimistic thing, and it's just nice to take stock of that sometimes, I guess. Yeah. So Simone, any ideas for next week? What are we gonna do?
I was thinking.
Oh, I don't like it when you start it that way. It freaks me out.
I wanted to do problematic faves from our childhood.
Ooh, key.
Because there's one from my, like, I don't know if you have like old animated movies from your childhood that like, you're like, oh, that actually wasn't
That's
great.
Not a good movie. Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to double check mine.
Okay, I've got to think.
Okay, you're also checking some.
Yeah, I'm gonna quickly check because I'm just Let
me check Rotten Tomatoes. Hang on. Sorry, YouTube. Yes, I kiss you. Magnus is right here, and he just needs a lot of attention.
I'm so glad that he was there during my synopsis, because then the people on YouTube can just like look at his pretty face while listening to my
and
crazy
me just like
ramblings.
giving him all the kisses.
Okay, I've got three.
Okay, I've got one. Mine is Quest for Camelot.
Quest for Camelot. Okay, cool. Okay, wait. So is the parameters that it has to be animated, or is it just a movie that you watched as a kid?
Maybe a movie for kids.
Okay, cool. Then I've got to rethink. Give me 1 second.
Oh God. Okay, no. What are the three movies you have?
Eurotrip, Your Highness, and How High.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, okay.
Not
Let
what
me
I was thinking vibes.
Yeah, not your not the
like
not the
kids
mandate.
movies.
Yeah. Okay, give me 1 second to rethink this then.
What you doing? You can't go this way. You can't go this way. I mean,
So yours is Quest for Camelot, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Right. Okay. Problematic kids movies. What other what other ones were you thinking of? Because I'm really drawing a blank.
Let me check. Okay, we'll just do my childhood.
Yeah, I think it's gonna have to be that way.
Good Lord. Okay, they've since done a lot of Swan Princess movies. Oh my God. I just found out that my favorite childhood movie of all time has been remade a lot and it looks awful.
Oh, that's not right.
So we might have to do an episode on that at some point. Oh, okay. But my other favorite childhood movie got 50%.
Oh, we can definitely do that. We can definitely do that.
Okay.
To be fair,
so we'll do a Simone's childhood episode.
Okay, we could do. Give me 1 second just to make sure about this, because I think I might have something.
Okay.
I hate Rotten Tomatoes so much. Just because there's so many sequels of this movie. I don't want to give it away because I want you to be excited when this thing comes on.
I wonder if it's the same movie.
That would be really funny.
I'll die. Oliver, come inside then.
Oh, was that the cat? I was so confused. Okay, no, we couldn't do it. It was Land Before Time, and it got 70%.
Oh,
which
what a
makes me really
perfect set of
mad.
movies, though. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love them. Okay, so what was the one?
It's Swan Princess.
I have not seen that.
It's amazing.
Okay,
so
cool.
we'll just do a Simone's childhood episode, and maybe after that we can do Chad's childhood, and we can compare.
I think that's a bloody good idea, actually.
Okay.
That is fucking funny. All right, I'll intro it again for you.
Okay,
give me 1 sec. Okay, Simone. So what are we gonna do next week?
Next week, Chad, we are going to take a deep dive into my childhood.
Okay. Cool.
So I picked two movies that I watched a lot when I was a little kid.
Okay.
That got less than 50% on Rotten Tomatoes because, like you said, you wanted to do Land Before Time, but that scored way too high because it's a perfect movie.
It's for a good reason. So yeah,
it's okay. I really can't watch Littlefoot losing his mom again as an adult. I'll just cry too hard,
especially in this year. Like it will just break you. Yeah,
it'll be me and Dumbo all over again.
Oh my God, Dumbo. Okay, so take us back to your childhood. What are we going to be watching next week as part of your childhood?
So as you know, I liked princesses, but I liked princesses doing it for themselves. So to that end, we will be watching Quest for Camelot.
Amazing.
And we will be watching The Swan Princess.
I have not seen either of these films, so I am so excited.
Oh, get ready.
I think the thing that I'm most looking forward to is sitting down and watching these movies and going, yeah, that's why Simone's like this. Yeah, that's why Simone's like this. Okay, I can see it now. I'm ready for that. Yeah. We should get a psychologist or your parents on this podcast for next week.
Or Rudy. So you can be like, oh.
I get it now. Cool. It would open a lot of doors for him. Like, I appreciate that. Like, he would appreciate that.
So which one? Well, I want to do Swan Princess. Would you mind doing Quest for Camelot?
How awful would that be during your children's week to be like, no, I want to do the one that you wanted to do. You can go.
I've already
suck
got
it.
a cliffhanger locked and loaded for
Okay,
Swan
cool.
Princess.
You can do, yes, you may do Swan Princess and I shall do Quest for Camelot. That sounds fantastic.
I'm so excited.
Good Lord, this is going to be a hell of a next week. I'm so ready for it. It's been
Get
the most
into my head.
And that is the name of that episode. Guys, thank you so much for listening. We really hope you enjoyed Spooktober. Now that it's over and we're back into Keanu week and the normal weeks on the lead up to Christmas, you know, we've got this weird month of November that kind of just doesn't make any sense, you know, just between October and December, but we're going to make the most of it. We're going to do some hilarious stuff and we hope you're ready for it, because once Christmas hits, oh boy, is it just Christmas.
Oh, you guys.
Oh, so much Christmas, all in your face. But yes, thank you so much for listening. We really do appreciate all your love, all the love that we get on Discord, all the love that we get everywhere else. It really does mean a lot to us to have you guys speak out to us. And it shows that what we're doing is reaching people and making everyone else happy who does listen to this. It means a lot to us. But if you do have suggestions for future movies, if you are a psychologist and want to get inside Simone's head for next week, if you just want to reach out and say, we too are the last optimistic things of 2020, you can do that. And where can they do that, Simone?
They can talk to us on Facebook or Instagram at Fresh Tomatoes Podcast, on Twitter at Fresh Tomatoes MP. They can email us at freshtomatoespodcast@gmail.com. They can come hang out with us on the Robots Radio Discord. They can check out our website at the link below. Also links to all of our sponsors. You get specials, we get kickbacks. It's a win-win.
Bloody bonza. And as we say at the end of every episode, we love you and there's nothing you can do about it.
We love you and there's nothing you can do about it.
Goodbye.
Bye.